As everyone knows, conflict online is never going away. People argue, disagree, and clash over all kinds of topics every single day. But most reasonable people can agree on one thing. Family members, especially children, should not be dragged into those fights. If you have a problem with someone's opinions, politics, or public statements, that's one thing. Going after their young son or daughter is a completely different story and crosses a line for many people. You would think that would be basic common sense, but online drama does not always follow common sense. One influencer on X, known for regularly criticizing Candace Owens, ended up facing major backlash after making comments involving Candace's daughter. The reaction was immediate. Even some people who normally criticize Candace themselves said the situation had gone too far and that a boundary had been crossed. Here's what happened. A person named Natalie Jean Beisner shared a photo that Candace had posted while telling a cute story about her daughter. That post quickly became part of a much bigger controversy online. So this is the story. Husband: it's a messy jersey. Daughter: I am not messy. Lol, no one insults the princess. It's a very sweet post and a harmless Sunday family moment. Candace shared a lighthearted story about her daughter, the kind of content most people would simply scroll past with a smile. Then Natalie reposted it and wrote, "Candace's daughter is going to grow up to be a mega bitch," or "in prison," or both. That comment immediately grabbed attention for all the wrong reasons. When I saw it, I honestly could not believe someone would post that. My timeline is constantly filled with accounts trying to outdo each other with criticism, wild claims, or rumors about Candace and her husband. But bringing a child into the middle of that fight felt completely different. For many people, that crossed a major line, and I felt compelled to respond. Even your supporters are disgusted at you bringing an innocent child into it. If you criticize Candace doing certain things and then stoop even lower by your own standards, what does that make you? And I still stand by my response. If someone truly believes a public figure is doing harm and then chooses to respond with behavior they claim to oppose, many people will naturally question that approach. What does that accomplish? That was the point I was making. What made the situation even more striking was the reaction from Natalie's own audience. You could see followers filling the comments, some upset, others calmly explaining why they felt the post crossed a line. Many pointed out the contrast between the comment and the message displayed in her X bio: "Jesus is Lord and Savior." That contrast became a major part of the discussion. This is why debates about religion online can become so heated. Critics often argue that some people publicly present themselves as guided by faith, while also posting harsh or hostile content online. Supporters, of course, may see things differently. Either way, it sparked a wider conversation about whether people's actions match the values they publicly promote. The discussion then expanded beyond the original post, with people arguing about what topics should be open for public scrutiny and where reasonable boundaries should exist. Reactions were all over the place. Some comments seemed thoughtful, while others left many people stunned. We'll look at a few of those responses next and see how the controversy developed from there. One major twist: Natalie eventually deleted the post, but she continued to defend her position afterward. Despite deleting the post, Natalie continued to stand by what she wrote. That only added more attention to the controversy and sparked another wave of reactions. Here are some of the comments people left. One person wrote, "That's wild, man, LOL, this is how crazy they are. Candace in a million years would never do anything involving someone else's kid, a toddler. These people are so crazy they will drive you mad. What is Natalie thinking? Wild." That opinion was shared by a number of commenters who felt the post crossed a clear boundary. Another comment read, "Oh my goodness, who is that woman calling an innocent toddler that? These people are not Christians, much less decent human beings." Reactions like this showed just how strongly many people felt about bringing a young child into a political or online feud. One comment that drew attention said, "Natalie's completely batshit crazy. I've told her several times to take time off social media. She's losing it. Plus, she's not a mother, so she has no idea how repulsive this is." While some people agreed with the criticism, others argued that you do not need to be a parent to understand why many view attacks on children as unacceptable. For a lot of people, that is simply a basic matter of decency. I also think some online personalities can get caught up in the cycle of outrage-driven content. The constant attention, engagement, and reactions can create pressure to push boundaries further and further, sometimes leading people to post things that generate controversy far beyond what they expected. It is possible that, at the beginning, Natalie believed she was defending someone she felt was being treated unfairly. There is nothing unusual about supporting a cause or speaking up for a person you agree with. However, critics argue that over time, the focus appeared to shift from advocacy into something much more personal and all-consuming. To them, it started looking less like commentary and more like an obsession. If you look through Natalie's X account, that perception becomes a major part of the criticism. As this video plays, you can see why some people have raised concerns. She reportedly posts about Candace dozens of times a day, sometimes reaching 50 or 60 posts. Many observers view that level of focus as excessive and believe it suggests the issue has become a central fixation rather than just another topic of discussion. Some critics even argued that she became so focused on fighting someone she viewed negatively that she ended up adopting tactics they felt were unfair themselves. That was a common theme throughout the backlash. At the same time, not everyone condemned the post. Some people defended Natalie or minimized the controversy because of their strong opposition to Candace. But comments criticizing Natalie came from many different directions, including people who strongly disagreed with Candace's views. For many, the issue was simple. They believed a young child should never become a target in an online dispute. At some point, I noticed that the original post had been deleted. But if anyone thought that meant a public apology or a change of heart was coming, that did not happen. Natalie did not release a statement, and she did not publicly say she regretted the post. Critics argued that the deletion appeared to be a response to the backlash, rather than an acknowledgement that the comment was wrong. Afterward, I posted a response that Candace later shared on her own profile. I wrote, "You deleted this post because even your own followers came after you for it. You called Candace Owens' toddler a mega bitch. Maybe take a break from the internet for a while, as it seems your hate and obsession consumed you to an unhealthy level." Candace shared the post and added her own caption. "Ultra-Zeranism and wanting to harm little ones go hand in hand." That post quickly gained massive attention and sparked another wave of reactions across the platform. From that point on, my notifications exploded. I'm not used to that level of activity on my account, and it was nonstop. Seeing the volume of responses gave me a glimpse into what larger accounts deal with every day. What stood out most, though, was how intense many of the replies became. Some people strongly defended Natalie, while others fiercely criticized her. Here are a few examples of the responses that followed. One commenter wrote, addressing Candace directly under the post, "You were hoping that someone would..." One reply argued that Candace was responsible for the backlash because she had shared the original post about her child in the first place. The commenter wrote that people are responsible for their own actions, but also claimed that Candace bears responsibility for the reactions she receives online. They went on to argue that criticism directed at public figures can have consequences for the people around them, including family members. I strongly disagreed with that reasoning. In my view, posting a family photo or sharing a story about your child does not make someone responsible for another person's decision to post insults about that child. Many people would see those as two separate issues. Regardless of how someone feels about a public figure, they are still accountable for their own words and actions. Online, the replies did not stop there. Some comments became even harsher, with people insisting that Candace deserved the criticism and should not complain about it. Others argued that public figures should simply accept whatever comes with being controversial. Reading some of those responses was genuinely shocking because of how aggressive and hostile they were. What stood out to me was not the fact that people dislike Candace. She is a political commentator, and strong disagreement comes with that territory. In politics, there will always be passionate supporters and passionate critics. That part is completely expected. The bigger issue, according to many of the people criticizing Natalie's post, was the decision to involve a young child in the conflict. For a lot of observers, that was the line that should not have been crossed. No matter how heated a political argument becomes, many believe children should remain outside the fight and should not become targets of personal attacks or insults. The next comment was, in my opinion, one of the most shocking responses in the entire discussion. The person shared the photo and wrote, "Imagine being this little girl and knowing you're the Satan spawn of the most vile bitch on the internet. Candace, we won't stop. She's not off limits. You attacked Erica and her children." That claim immediately raised questions. The commenter was presenting it as a fact, but many people wanted evidence to support those accusations. Critics pushed back and argued that serious claims like that should be backed up with specific examples rather than broad statements. The debate quickly shifted into arguments over what had or had not happened in previous disputes. Another response took a different angle. The commenter wrote, "So saying she may become a mega bitch is inappropriate, and I disagree with bringing anyone's children in this, but your words make it as if she made a threat to a child, and exaggerating it is also inappropriate and spreading misinformation." That sparked another round of disagreement. Some people felt the focus was being placed on technical wording rather than the core issue. Others argued that precision matters and that there is a difference between an insult and a threat. The discussion became a debate over language, intent, and where exactly the line should be drawn. Still, many observers returned to the same basic point. Regardless of political disagreements, they believed comments aimed at a young child were unnecessary and inappropriate. That remained the central criticism throughout the controversy and continued to fuel strong reactions from people on all sides of the debate. I was not the only person reacting strongly to the situation either. Others weighed in as well, including someone known online as Crazy Village Lady, who had her own response to the controversy. At this point, the controversy had become so heated that people were throwing accusations in every direction. The discussion was no longer just about the original post. It had expanded into arguments about politics, public figures, online behavior, and the motivations of the people involved. One commentator reacted strongly, saying that while harsh behavior online is unfortunately common, the original post still shocked them. They described it as crossing a line and criticized what they saw as a lack of basic decency in the exchange. Natalie responded by rejecting some of the accusations being made about her. She argued that her views on Candace should not automatically be connected to unrelated political positions or beliefs that she does not hold. Natalie wrote that her criticism was focused on Candace herself and on what she viewed as Candace's words and actions, not on broader political causes that others were trying to associate with her. That response sparked even more debate. Critics pointed out that the original controversy was not just about criticism of Candace. In their view, the backlash happened because a child had been brought into the discussion. Supporters of Natalie focused on her criticisms of Candace, while opponents kept returning to the same issue, the comment involving Candace's daughter. And that is where the disagreement really centered. For many people following the story, criticism of a public figure was one thing. Bringing a young child into the conflict was something entirely different, and that distinction remained at the heart of the controversy as the argument continued to grow online. For many people following the situation, the issue was never about criticism of Candace herself. Public figures are criticized every day online, and that is nothing new. The controversy centered on the fact that the discussion had shifted toward her young daughter. Critics argued that this was the point Natalie either did not understand or chose not to acknowledge. Further reactions seemed to reinforce that perception. One user posted, "I stand with Natalie. The candy cult can't handle the truth from her Natalie. Let's not forget who really is the gutter trash here, Candace, Village Crazy Lady, and others." Natalie replied, "Village Crazy Lady also blocked me, so I'd say it was worth it." That response drew even more criticism. Many people interpreted it as a sign that Natalie did not regret the original post and still believed the backlash was justified. To critics, that only intensified concerns about the comments involving Candace's daughter. Natalie also responded to another person who criticized her, saying, "I'm not going after a little girl. I was referring to her as an adult." That explanation became another major point of debate. Some people accepted the distinction she was trying to make, while others argued it missed the broader issue entirely. Their view was that making negative predictions about a child, even framed as speculation about the future, was still inappropriate. One of the more notable responses came from someone who appeared to be supportive of Natalie in general, but disagreed with her on this particular situation. The commenter wrote, "Even if you have a bad parent, someone horrible, that doesn't mean it's going to be your story. We are all God's children, and we all have our paths." That comment stood out because it reflected a position shared by many people across different viewpoints. Regardless of what someone thinks about a parent, many believe it is unfair to assume a child's future or judge them based on conflicts involving adults. That sentiment continued to appear throughout the backlash and became one of the most common criticisms of the original post. Even among people who strongly dislike Candace and believe she is completely in the wrong on many issues, a lot of them still drew a clear line when it came to her children. Their argument was straightforward. Whatever you think about a public figure, their kids should not be pulled into the fight. That was the point many critics kept repeating throughout this entire controversy. After the backlash exploded, Natalie continued posting about Candace as if the storm had never happened. That left many people wondering what the motivation behind the original post really was. Some believe it was done purely to generate outrage and attention. Others think it reflected genuine personal hostility. And of course, there are people who believe there may be other reasons entirely. At the end of the day, nobody can know for certain unless Natalie explains it herself. What is clear is that the post triggered a massive reaction across X and got people arguing from every angle imaginable. Now I want to hear from you. Which explanation do you think makes the most sense, and why? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, and share it with others who might be interested in the discussion. And don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts, because I want to know where you stand on this entire situation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.